Hello, everybody, and welcome to this virtual theater talk for What the End Will Be. My name is Jason Jacobs, and I'm a teaching artist with Roundabout's Education Department.
And I'm Toussaint Jean-Louis, and I'm also a teaching artist with Roundabout Education Department.
Toussaint, I'm so excited for us to sit down today and talk about this play. This is a new commission from playwright Mansa Ra, and I have to say I'm also really excited that this production will mark the reopening of the Laura Pels Theater at the Steinberg Center.
Finally. And, Jason, what excites me about this play is just the heart that it carries, the potential for healing conversations, and its portrayal of 3 generations of Black men spanning 7 decades. It's really phenomenal.
And that's the perfect segue for a very brief summary of the play with no spoilers, but just enough to help our audience, know what you need to know to follow this talk. So as you said, Toussaint, the play looks at 3 generations of men living under one roof, grappling with their own truths of what it means to be Black and gay. Grandfather Bartholomew is grieving the loss of his husband and confronting his own mortality in the face of terminal cancer. His son, Maxwell, is middle-aged and is trying to be a caretaker while still juggling his career and his marriage and his own role as a parent. And his son, 18-year-old Tony, is just coming out of the closet and has all that great, healthy rebellion of every 18-year-old. So with that little summary, shall we talk about the playwright?
Absolutely. Mansa Ra was born in Memphis, Tennessee. He was educated at Central High School, Morehouse College, Spelman College, Emory University, and earned an MFA in playwriting from the Yale School of Drama. Between that, he teaches at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia.
In his spare time.
Yeah.
Roundabout audiences may best know Mansa for his 2017 play, Too Heavy for Your Pocket, which played in our underground space. Between you and me, it was one of my favorite shows I've seen in the underground, and I know quite a few people agree with me on that. That play was inspired by his own family history, and it told the story of 2 young Black couples living in the rural South in 1961, at the time when the Freedom Riders were embarking on their very courageous and very dangerous journey. It looked at the grappling with the choice between, pursuing your own individual success or making sacrifices to dedicate your life to national reform. And it really looked at the personal cost of putting yourself on the line. Too Heavy for Your Pocket won the Alliance Candida National Graduate Playwriting Competition and the Lawrence Hatcher Award. And since its Roundabout production, it has gone on to have productions around the country at cities from Los Angeles to Chicago to Des Moines, to Houston, and more. Now, more recently, Mansa's play In the Southern Breeze was at the Rattlestick Theater in the fall of 2021. The New York Times praised it as formally ambitious and said it was a tender tribute to previous generations of Black Americans. And as a side note, it featured a absolutely stunning performance by our colleague, fellow teaching artist from Roundabout, Alan Washington. Mansa is also a writer for NBC's TV drama New Amsterdam and the director of The Paradigms, a devising ensemble which seeks to create equitable and ethical theater. And they're committed to telling stories about an authentic Black America that begins before slavery and extends well past President Obama.
I think, Jason, it's safe to say that Mansa's coming in hot with What the End Will Be. I mean, it's just phenomenal, all the work that he's already done and the work that he's continuing to do. And I'm so glad that he's made his way at Roundabout Theater with What the End Will Be. And some of the things that he said about why he wanted to do this production was, if we all could get into a room intergenerationally, what would we say? What would we fight about? Because I'm sure we'd still fight about it. But if the struggle weren't about sexuality or gender or color, and it could lend itself to many life lessons about mortality, love, and family. And I'm fascinated by this play because it's rare to witness a biological family of Black men living under one roof, and they all identify as queer.
I agree. It's very rare. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this kind of family on stage before. You talked about these identities. And what fascinates me is that this play provides a very human understanding of this concept of intersectionality.
Mm.
Now, that term was coined in 1989 by Professor Kimberly Crenshaw to describe how race and class, gender, sexuality, and other individual characteristics intersect with one another and overlap within any individual. As we said, this play looks at that, particularly for having those identities of being both gay and Black, and shows it through three different ages.
Right. And it's just brilliant how if you start to dig deeper into the histories of these characters and start discovering events that may have happened to them individually, things that shaped them, the lives they might have led, and how they're now surviving collectively, it's magical, and it's just this heart-rending skill that Mons is able to bring to the stage. You know, as you experience the characters, their identities start to overlap, and sometimes we encounter technological difficulties, but the audience is given a seat at the table to continue and or begin conversations about love, acceptance, and hopefully ending generational trauma within their own community. You know, Jason, this play also dives into themes of autonomy and freedom to choose. And I don't know if you were like me, but as a child, but I know that you could imagine the day that I was able to claim my own identity, wearing whatever I wanted to wear or going where I wanted to go, and just the freedom to make my own decisions for myself. So I think a lot of people can kind of identify with that, you know, whether it was to the family or to the church or school or, you know, even to yourself. And so the brilliance that I think that Mansa brings is just this nuance to color the stage with all of these heartfelt moments and extremely important topics that people deal with internally and also socially, just dealing with these multiple battles.
And you're right, it's very universal, that claiming your freedom, no matter what your identity is. So yeah, totally relate to that. You know, the play has so many layers, so many ways into it, and it helps, I think, that to know that this is a play that he's been working on for a very long time. He started writing it many years ago, and then brought it to Roundabout Theater. It was workshopped here, and it was slotted to be produced in the spring of 2020. And we all know what happened to all the shows that were going to happen in 2020. So it was shut down by the pandemic. But the silver lining there is that it gave him even more time to think about the play. And it has been very much shaped now by our recent events. I'm going to share this quote from Montserrat. He said, "I've been working on it for a really long time, and it means the world to me, and the ability to give this play as a COVID gift, because we've lost upwards of 700,000 Americans, and all of our lives have changed, and most of us are stuck inside with people who we are not normally stuck inside with, even if they're our family." You know, so one of the changes he did make was to definitively set the play in the fall of 2021, and he weaves in subtle references to the impact of the pandemic through the whole play. I just think that people coming to see this play, our audience has now had in their own lives, perhaps more personal connections to loss, mortality, and grief, and they'll be able to watch the play from that lens. But I do want to also assure everybody that this play is filled with joy and lots of humor. And without giving any spoilers, I will say that it ends on a note that is very hopeful and very, very moving.
I think it'll be an extremely wonderful gift that we all can receive. And I mean, you're right. We've survived through a pandemic and the resurgence of Black Lives Matter and all that has been entailed in the last 2.5 years. And we are here now with the growth that we have all hopefully achieved. And now here we have this gift that Mons is bringing to us.
So let's talk about the other artists who are working with Mansa on this production, on this gift. So it's directed by Margot Bordelon, who is a Brooklyn-based director who specializes in new work. This is Margot's third production with Roundabout, including directing Too Heavy for Your Pocket, and also Selena Fillinger's Something Clean, which was also done down in our underground space. The design team includes set designer Reed Thompson and lighting designer Jian Chang, and they both did the design for Too Heavy for Your Pocket. Costumes are by Emilio Sosa, who just designed our production of Trouble in Mind. Those costumes were fabulous, and he's clearly very busy. And the sound and music are by Palmer Hefferon. It's a mostly realistic play, and I can't wait to see how these designers create this setting. It's meant to be a cavernous suburban Atlanta home in the same development where the Real Housewives live.
Oh, is Nene Leakes there?
Oh, I hope so. I
hope so.
Right? Yeah, part of the design. But I'm also intrigued by a quote from Margot where she talked about the play, and she said she was particularly interested in exploring the moments of poetic realism that exist in the play. There are a number of stage directions about time passing and the dialogue around the flimsiness of time. And she said she's eager to figure out how to convey this idea in a theatrical way. Knowing how Margot and this design team created a magical theatricality for Too Heavy for Your Pocket, I can't wait to see what they do with this.
Me either, yeah.
Now, we can't talk about our cast. Full casting or no casting has been announced as of the date where we're doing this talk. But I will just say a little bit about the supporting characters, because you and I have been focusing on the three central characters, the grandfather, father, and son. But we also have Chloe, who's Bart's nurse. She's kind of a wisecracking character, but she's a representation of a caretaker, living and working in this time period we're in. There's Charles, who is Maxwell's white husband. And so that's, of course, a very complex, interesting relationship. And then there's this character, Antoine, who's Tony's friend, 18, fierce, fearless, just an amazing character on the page.
These characters will definitely ignite some fire for all of us to witness.
Yeah. And I think the play is just going to open a lot of doors and give offers a lot of entry points, no matter who you are, how you come to this play, no matter what your age, your race, your sexuality. There's somewhere here where you're going to kind of be able to see yourself. It's gonna, I believe, as you said, this is a play that is going to incite really interesting conversations.
Yeah, and I hope some of those will be within their own family, within their own homes, and maybe taking a look at different perspectives across the generations. I may not understand exactly what my grandfather went through, but there are similarities that we have, and I think that there's a lot there that we can do to bridge the gap. And I really feel that what the end will be will help that be the case for a lot of audience members and families. So I'm excited, so excited to see this play.
I'm even more excited now. And I know that we'll continue, you and I will be able to continue to have really interesting talks after we've seen it.
Absolutely.
It's been great talking with you today.
You as well.
And I want to thank all of you for watching this talk. And we both really look forward to seeing you at the theater.